Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden forces that drive our shopping decisions. You know, from a simple coffee to a brand new car, there's this powerful psychological drama playing out in your mind, and we're about to give you a front row seat.
It's never just as simple as, I want that. It's this complex, really fascinating process that starts way before you ever even think about clicking buy now. It's a journey, really. A journey from feeling this tiny gap in your life to finding the one thing you believe can fill it. So, let's break that whole journey down, step by step.
Okay, so every single purchase, and I mean every single one, whether you're buying a pack of gum or a house, it all starts in the exact same place, with a feeling. It's that initial spark, right? The thing that ignites the entire process. At its core, a need is basically a gap. It's the space between where you are right now and where you want to be. It could be something physical, like the need for food when you're hungry, or it could be something much more complex, like the need for acceptance from your friends. And this gap, well, it creates a feeling that just demands to be resolved. And that feeling, it actually has a name: tension. It's that little psychological itch that tells you something isn't quite right. And this tension is absolutely the critical first step. I mean, without it, there's just no motivation to act. There's no reason to even start thinking about making a purchase in the first place. So how does that nagging feeling, that tension, actually translate into you searching for a product online or walking into a store? Well, it doesn't happen by chance. Your mind follows this really predictable path to turn that discomfort into action. And here it is. This is the core engine of our behavior as consumers. It kicks off with an unfulfilled need, which, as we said, creates tension. That tension then builds a drive, this internal push to do something about it. That drive leads to a behavior, the action, like shopping, which then allows you to fulfill your goal. And finally, you get that relief. The tension goes down. What's so cool about this is how it neatly maps that whole journey from a vague internal feeling to a decisive real-world act. Of course, not all needs are created equal. They pretty much fall into two buckets. You've got your biogenic needs. These are the physical ones we're born with. Food, water, shelter. But then you have psychogenic needs, and these are the ones we learn from our culture, from our environment. Think about things like the need for status or power or affection. So the need for a roof over your head, that's biogenic. The need for that roof to be in a super trendy neighborhood to impress your friends, yep, that's psychogenic. So if motivation is the engine that's pushing you forward, then your personality, that's the compass. It's what points you in a very specific direction and really determines the what and the why of your final choice. Your personality is basically that collection of unique traits that shapes how you see the world and how you act in it. And this is exactly why two people can have the same exact need, let's say hunger, but one person will grab a cheap, fast burger while the other goes for an organic salad. Their different personalities are guiding them toward totally different goals to satisfy that same basic need. And this quote just illustrates perfectly how marketers tap into that. It's a technique called brand personification, literally giving a product human traits. So we don't just buy a cleaning product, we buy the idea of Mr. Clean himself, strong, dependable, competent. We end up connecting with the brand's personality because it reflects traits we either admire or wish we had. But all these needs we've been talking about, they aren't just a random jumble in our heads. A psychologist named Abraham Maslow proposed that they're actually organized in this really clear hierarchy, from the most basic to the most advanced. And this hierarchy does a great job explaining why we prioritize certain goals over others. It all starts right here, at the base of Maslow's pyramid. These are those biogenic needs we mentioned earlier. And it makes sense, right? If you're struggling to find food or water, you're not going to be worried about your social status or buying a luxury car. These needs, they have to be met first. Period. Okay, so once you're fed and you have shelter, you start looking for safety and stability. This level is all about creating a predictable, orderly world for yourself. This is the psychological driver behind why we buy things like insurance policies, home security systems, or even why we invest in our education. So after you feel safe and secure, the need for human connection kicks in. We are fundamentally social creatures. We're just hardwired to crave love, friendship, and that feeling of belonging. This is such a powerful motivator for buying products that signal we're part of a group. Everything from the clothes we wear to the social media platforms we use, it's all, in a way, an effort to say, hey, I'm one of you. Next up, we get to the ego. Once we feel like we belong, this new need starts to bubble up, the need to stand out. This is where our purchases are driven by the desire for prestige, reputation, and getting recognition from others.
Now we're talking about luxury brands, expensive cars, anything that signals success and status to the world, telling everyone, not just that you belong, but that you've excelled.
And finally, we get to the very peak of the pyramid, self-actualization. This is the desire to fulfill your own unique potential. It's way less about what other people think and much more about personal growth and fulfillment. You know the U.S. Army's old slogan, "Be all you can be"? That was a direct, powerful, and brilliant appeal to this ultimate human need.
Okay, so now that we've kind of mapped out the whole internal psychology, from a need to motivation all the way up a hierarchy of goals, let's look at how this knowledge is used every single day to influence what you see, what you think, and ultimately what you buy. Marketers have a very sophisticated playbook. Now, they don't create your needs, but they are absolute masters in making you more keenly aware of needs that might just be lying dormant. You see an ad showing a juicy steak, and it reminds you it's missing something? That is designed to arouse a need you didn't even know you had 5 seconds ago. They tap directly into your personality and your motivations to make their message hit home.
And that targeting can get incredibly specific. Turns out your personality traits are a really strong predictor of which ads are going to work on you. For example, someone who is other-directed, meaning they look to other people for social cues, they're going to respond really well to ads showing happy people in group settings. But contrast that with someone who has a high need for uniqueness. They'll be drawn to ads that promise to make them stand out from the crowd. Brands literally build entire campaigns around these psychological profiles. So the next time you find yourself wanting to buy something, just take a second and, look under the hood. Was your motivation sparked by a fundamental need, or was it a learned desire? What goal were you really trying to fulfill? Was it safety, belonging, maybe even self-actualization? And what does it truly say about you?